Howdy, y'alls. Welcome back to Anthropology 111 with me, Dr. Edwards. Here to help you out with Module 6, Politics and Religion. Now, this is one meaty module. Yeah, I'm going to try my best to give you a quick overview of some key concepts, ideas involved in this module. So let's see here. Politics and religion, they're intimately connected. In many cases, in some points of history and for some societies, they were synonymous. They were one and the same. Politics is the way that we organize, negotiate, distribute power over people and things. All right? We might have formal governments, or we may have non-government systems or informal politics. There's a really wide range. So I want to suggest that we want to break out of our own societal understandings and be looking for wider patterns that we see across cultures. Look at our currency here in our own country. You'll often see "In God We Trust" on it. Even though money is not politics, money often is associated with power, right? And power is all about politics, so the connections are there. You can see that, that there's a fundamental connection. It's stamped on our money. Now, some folks believe that's always been the case. That it wasn't. I think it was in the 60s, 68. Oof. I'd have to double check. But there was actually, it wasn't that long ago that we included that in our currency. That's not really that important, though. The importance is the connection between politics and religious beliefs, that they tend to be intertwined, woven together, interconnected, relational. These are good ways of looking at it. So, let's start off with giving some homage to Elman Service. This was the anthropologist that came up with our 4 basic political types, right? 4 ways that we tend to see societies organize themselves. We often refer to this as political organization. We got bands, tribes, chiefdoms, and states. And each has their own unique associations. They tend to have their own unique, subsistence system that's associated with them. Marriage practices and political organization, right? And like how they actually structure social control within their group. So we got to tip our hat to Elman Service for these things. Now, while these 4 categories are really helpful, what folks tend to think is that there's some evolution, right? That you start as a band and then evolve into a tribe and then into a chiefdom and then to a state. Don't go there. It doesn't work like that. It's best to think of them as each unique and relative. When we think that they develop from one to another in this kind of evolution of a hierarchy, that kind of gives the wrong idea. We just want to look at them as being different, all right, and that each is relative to the group that practices it. So let's try to avoid that. Let's not fall for the myth that a nation state is better than a band type society. All sorts of issues come up when you try to compare them and say one is better. You may have your personal beliefs that you prefer a nation state is the type of political organization you want to live in. No problems, right? And you might feel that it's better for you. Cool, no problems. But a broader statement of a nation state is better than a band type society, that's a whole other kettle of fish. We want to try to avoid that sort of judgment because that really underscores our some ethnocentric ideas. If you really want to get nitty gritty about it, look at our lives. Much of our society is all about getting time. How time is so important. We all want more free time. Well, let's use that as a metric, a way of measuring something. Compare it to a forging group, like, the Dobeju Huanzi, the forgers that I've highlighted so many times in my announcements. You look at their daily lives, they actually have more free time on a daily basis than we do. All right, so better is really relative. I frankly would like a lot more free time. That might mean that, hey, I might be more into a forging type society, but guess what? I'd lose a lot of things that I also like. Like my computer, the internet that it's connected to. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you get my idea. Moving on. Got some important things I want to highlight. Nation states. Now, this is the political organization that we are most familiar with. It's what we all live within in our society here in the United States of America. We're a democratic republic. We're also industrialized and capitalistic society. And so all of those kind of, suggest that we're going to have a very formal means of politics, of how power is wielded. We have a president. We have, all of these, the three branches, executive, judicial, and legislative. We can also have really informal means. In our daily lives, we see this. We might have, use gossip or ridicule to put people back in their place. Your neighbor starts acting all weird, and you might start talking to your other neighbors like, oh, hey, look, you seen the Jones? Why is he out there in the middle of the night in his underwear mowing his lawn? Something's wrong with him. You start gossiping, and that eventually gets back to the person, and hey, they might change their behavior. So social control, that's a good example of informal. Formal is a person walking down the street with a knife acting very erratic. The police might show up and arrest the person, or at least question them. And that's a good, those are formal means. The police are vested with a particular authority through their legal position. They are there to monitor and affect social control. So within nation states, another key concept that I want to highlight is the idea of hegemony. This is really important. I think probably the best way to describe it is hegemony is when you have an elite group within society that tend to control others within society. Another way to look at this is you have the haves, those who control the means and modes of production, all right, and the have-nots, those that are subject to the means of production. They are cogs in the wheel, if you would, cogs in the machine. Now, the elite class, those who control the means of production, they want to maintain their position. I mean, you can't blame them. Hey, they got all the control. They control the means of production, right? They're going to do things to help maintain that position, help ensure that it is restricted and limited to themselves and not others. Well, that's the concept of hegemony. You can think of it as, let's see here, my official definition. Control and manipulation of society by the ruling class. That's what I wrote down in my notes anyway. So, you can look in our own society, and we tend to, we're a class-based society. It is full of strata, and we are predicated on inequality. Okay? That might shock some of you. I hope it doesn't, but it might. Some people have never really come face to face with structural inequality, or don't really see it. Depending who you are, where you were born, race, socioeconomic class, all of that can influence your opportunities in your life, right? Now, we often, use little phrases in our language to highlight how equal and equitable our society is. Like, oh, all you have to do is pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and you can get ahead in this world. That's a pretty common phrase that I've heard. Well, the truth is, no, not everybody can. Some, a few, can. The vast majority cannot. And that really, that's a good example of how, those that are in control maintain control, the hegemony of it all. So yeah, in today's society, this is a really big deal. And it's been so for a long time, and it's coming to another head. We had like one major eruption of issues of social inequality, structural inequality in the 60s, and now we're seeing similar patterns. Black Lives Matter movement. Sorry, this is a great example. This really reflects that certain individuals do not have the same privileges as others. In fact, they're subjugated to unfair practices. I'm white, kind of hard to hide that. I live in Oregon. There's not a very large black population in Oregon. It's pretty minimal. I don't have to worry about being pulled over, right, by the police where I live, right? That's a reflection of my privilege, okay? That's one of the benefits that I get based on the color of my skin, where I was born, and where I live. All the opportunities that I've had in my life, it's all kind of wound together. And it's important to recognize that many people don't have those opportunities, to recognize our individual privileges within society, and at the same time, those that do not receive such privileges is a really important thing. All of that underscores structural inequality, that, you have these rights and privileges because you're at this place on our socioeconomic class scale, all right? If you're down here, you have even less, right? If you're up here, you have all the more. I hope that makes sense. And again, these are just rough ideas, thoughts to get you thinking in the right direction on our concepts. Flipping through my notes. Yeah, I think I want to offer one last real quick example about political organizations. And this is a group I've highlighted before, the Newer. The Newer are an acephalous society, which means they don't have a formal government. They don't have a central authority that regulates and maintains, is in control. In fact, this is what made them so hard to colonize. The British drove themselves nuts trying to figure them out. And it was because they don't have a chief, they don't have a king, they don't have a leader. That's what the British were looking for. They were looking for that individual, or that group of individuals, to control, so they could then colonize the rest. Now, all that aside, the Newer are a great example of a different form of social control. They don't have police. They don't have formal ways of negotiating those things. They do it through lineage. They do it through kinship. It's something called Segmentary Lineage Organization, SLO. Read about it in our text. I also give you an extra article that you can explore it in. It's very different than what we're used to. But yeah, it's really good to explore because it is so different. It'll give you an idea of the sort of diversity there is out there in terms of political organization and social control. All right. Moving on. I got how much time? Oof. Sorry, I'm gonna have to try to wrap this up. I already see I'm at 14 minutes. Religion. Oof. Religion is huge. In fact, I prefer not to use the term religion at all. I find, in all my experience as an anthropologist and an educator, that just using that term often can create problems. I prefer using belief systems or supernaturalism, because religion may actually get you thinking about your own particular beliefs and practices, all right? And while it's important to recognize your own, we also want to be able to look beyond our own, right? We want to see others and be able to understand the functions that belief systems provide their members, the practitioners, right? This is a really important concept within anthropology. So the example that I highlight is a group called the Azande, and they're in Africa, and they're very famous because they use witchcraft to explain pretty much every unfortunate event in their lives. Now, let's be clear. This may not be how you see things, right? And that's fine. But I'm going to challenge you to step outside of your comfort zone and try to wear the shoes of an Azande, right? And I'll give you an example of kind of how they see witchcraft, supernatural practices. Say you're walking along and you're walking through a field that you walk through every day, except this time you happen to stub your toe on a stump, okay? Now, you've passed that stump every day for months, okay? Every day that you walk by it. You haven't stubbed your toe. Now, witchcraft is used to explain why you actually stubbed your toe this particular time, right? That's the unfortunate event, right? So witchcraft would be used to explain, oh, well, witchcraft caused me not to see it today, okay? It really has to do about formulation of logic, and logic is cultural, okay? There's no getting away from it. We in the West tend to adhere to Western philosophies of logic and reason. However, those are ours and are not necessarily shared by the rest of the world. I got a great article that gives you a nice kind of case study about the Azande, gives you lots of details, and I got an excellent video documentary that you're going to want to check out, okay? I can tell you from personal experience, this is very real world. I worked for 10, 15 years with traditional medicine and traditional beliefs in Mali, West Africa. I was actually trained as a traditional practitioner there. If any of y'all want to know more about that, give me a call or set up a Skype and I'll give you all sorts of crazy stories of my experiences and additional insights into how you can better understand those from an anthropological perspective. I think that's where I'm going to have to leave this announcement. So much more I'd like to share with you, but our time is limited. I know you guys have things to do. I have things to do. I got to go clean a house now. So be sure to check out the rest or the full written portion of the announcement. I give you your assignments, their due dates, add extra notes about milestone feedback, all that good stuff. And of course, if you have any questions, any concerns, just want to chat anthropology, you know you can get a hold of me. You got my cell number, you got my Skype address. Yeah, don't hesitate. I am here to help you in any way that I can. And frankly, I love actually connecting with my students. So hey, you can't lose. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again another time. Bye.